So chances are you've seen this video making the rounds online. It is absolutely wild. You see this rocket sled just screaming down a track, and then bam, a figure gets blasted out of the cockpit at a mind-boggling speed. It went totally viral, shared by everyone from India's defense minister to the DRDO. But what in the world are we actually looking at here?
I mean, you see a clip that dramatic, and you've got to wonder, right? Is that some unbelievably courageous test pilot in there? A real-life stuntman just pushing the absolute limits of human endurance? Or is it something else entirely? Something more significant?
Okay, let's just clear this up right off the bat. What you saw was, without a doubt, a massive technological breakthrough. And the figure getting ejected, that's a super sophisticated mannequin, not a person. So yeah, no humans were harmed in the making of this incredible video. This story is all about brilliant engineering, not daredevilry.
So what we're all watching is a high-speed rocket sled test, and it was run by India's Defense Research and Development Organization, the DRDO. The whole point of this spectacular show was to test out a fighter jet's escape system. And to really get why that's a big deal, you first have to understand a really important distinction.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. To wrap your head around why this test is such a game changer, we need to pull apart two ideas: the ejection seat and the escape system. They sound like the same thing, but trust me, they are worlds apart.
When we hear the word ejection, most of us immediately picture the seat itself. And for good reason. The biggest name in the game is a UK company, Martin Baker. These guys are legends. Their seats have saved over 7,000 pilots' lives. They're in jets all over the world, including India's own Tejas fighter. But that seat, it's only one piece of a much larger puzzle.
And this right here breaks it down perfectly. On the left, you've got the seat. That's the chair, the parachute, the survival kit. It's the what. But on the right, you've got the escape system. That's the how. It's the whole shebang, the mechanism that blows the canopy, the rockets that fire you out, the complex timing that makes it all happen in a fraction of a second. The system is the brain and the muscle that makes the seat work.
And here's the big reveal, the real takeaway from that video. The test, it actually used a Martin Baker seat. See, India wasn't trying to build a better chair. It was proving that it had mastered its own homegrown escape system, the incredibly complex technology that gets the pilot and the seat out safely. Mastering this is a huge leap towards genuine self-reliance.
Okay, so they're testing the system. Got it. But why all the drama? Why strap it to a rocket and send it flying down a track at an insane speed? Well, this is where the test goes from just being impressive to being truly groundbreaking. Let that number just sit there for a moment. 800 kilometers per hour. That is a very real speed for a fighter jet in an emergency. Testing at that kind of velocity is what makes this a dynamic test. And that, my friends, changes everything.
Look at the difference here. Most ejection tests are static. That means the cockpit is standing still. It's useful, sure, but it's not what happens in a real crisis. What India did was a dynamic test, which replicates the violent wind blast and crazy aerodynamics of ejecting at high speed. It is so much more complex, but it gives you foolproof data about how the system works when it actually counts.
Hey, don't just take my word for it. This quote is from the official DRDO statement. They point out that these dynamic tests are absolutely critical for things like making sure the canopy blows off correctly when you have a massive wall of air pushing against it. You just can't test for that properly when you're standing still.
So when you successfully pull off a test this complicated, it has some major ripple effects. This isn't just another successful experiment. This is basically getting a ticket to a very exclusive club.
The DRDO's own words really nail it. This achievement places India in an elite club. But just how elite are we talking about here?
We're talking extremely elite. While other nations might do this stuff behind closed doors, very few, and we're talking superpowers like the US and Russia, have ever publicly shown they can do this. This is a massive flex of aerospace and engineering muscle.
So, what did they actually prove worked? Well, the test validated three critical things that have to happen in a perfect, split-second dance. 1. The canopy severance, getting the glass out of the way. 2. The ejection sequencing, firing all the rockets in the right order at the right time. And 3. Complete aircrew recovery, making sure the parachute deploys and the mannequin lands safely. Everything worked flawlessly.
At the end of the day, all this incredible technology, all this elite club talk, it all boils down to one simple, crucial goal: saving human lives and building a more independent future. All the precious data they gathered from this single test is absolutely invaluable. It's not going to sit on a shelf. It's going straight to the people at Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL, the ones building India's aircraft. This data is going to help them build future fighter jets with some of the safest escape systems on the planet. And that brings us to the big, fascinating question for the future. Now that India has proven it has mastered the incredibly complex escape system, what's next? It seems like the next logical step is pretty clear, right? Could we be looking at a completely indigenous, Indian-made ejection seat on the horizon? A future where they don't have to rely on anyone else? This test sure makes that future feel a whole lot closer.